What is up, everybody? Welcome to Pub Sports Radio. This is the Draftkings Picks and Prediction Show. This week, we are breaking down UFC 298, headlined by Alexander Volkanovski and Ilia Topuria, a card that I'm really looking forward to. We have 12 fights. Well, 11 fights. I heard that Paulo Costa just pulled out. So unfortunately, down to 11 fights here. But just kidding, not yet. It's going to be coming, though, soon. But yeah, it's a good card. Looking forward to it. I think it's a fun card from a DraftKings perspective. As always, I am here with Weezy, Monk, and Gordo. Weezy, I'll kick it to you first. How are you doing?
I'm all right, man. It's been a weird one today. I mean, but we're going to have some fun here today. We're going to have some fun. I promise you that. It's going to be as much fun as the main card for UFC 298. This is a fun card from top to bottom. We've got some debuting fighters. We've got some real big-time veterans here. We got two of the best DraftKings scorers in the entire UFC in Anthony Hernandez and Merab Dvalishvili on this card. So there's a lot of angles to look at. There's a lot to talk about besides broke-ass haircuts this week. So we are just going to get right into it and take care of some business.
Sounds good to me. We got Monk, the man behind the train. Monkey, you were a little bit late today. What's going on?
I mean, I was 3 minutes early. Well, we can call that late. We did have a train, but it was a fast train, so it was all good. Not too much road rage involved, so I got a good attitude for the show. 298, fantastic card. My guy, and a lot of people's guys, Dvalishvili on the card, as Weezy said. The main event, absolute banger. Hernandez, Kopylov. We got a couple of newbies. Rinya's on the card. I mean, come on. What more could we ask for? A great pay-per-view event. Looking forward to it.
Yes, sir. And last but not least, we got Gordo. Gordo, you looking forward to finally being out of the Apex and UFC 298?
California, baby. No, it's going to be a good one, that's for sure. It is a star-studded card. A lot of really fun, interesting DraftKings dynamics, and I am really looking forward to it this weekend. It's also Valentine's Day today, so happy to be with you beauties and the true love of my life, Zhang Mingyang. So I'm looking forward to it. Should be a good fight card, and wish everyone the best. Happy Valentine's Day.
Absolutely. All right, before we get started, if you guys could please do us a favor here, leave a like on the video, subscribe to Pub Sports Radio. We go live every Wednesday, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Do you want to shout out the chat? We got Prodigy, Spencer, Rex Lee, and Bob in the chat. What is up? If you guys have any questions, as always, type them in the chat, and we will get to them towards the end. Even Dixon Sider's questions, which sometimes can be a little bit terrifying, but we will get to them nonetheless. All right. I say we get into it, guys. As always, we're going to start with our fight to target. And let's kick it to our Uncle Weezy. Uncle Weezy, which fight are you targeting the heaviest for UFC 298?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about Gordo's heartthrob, Mingyang Zhang here, going up against Brenson Ribeiro. Look, these guys have got 43 fights. Only 2 of those 43 fights have actually went to decision. And one of the fights that went to decision for Ribeiro was a fight where he actually tapped the dude out in the first, and then the ref just didn't count it because they were in Russia, and Brazilians aren't allowed to win in Russia. So this is a great fight to get that's going to go finish in the first round. Whoever wins this fight is probably going to rack up triple digits, because I think every single Mingyang Zhang finish is in the first round. And for Brenson, it's a lot of first round and second round finishes on his resume. So, this one is, I think, minus 325 to go under 1.5 rounds. So about 76, 77% implied probability. So it's going to be a high scoring fight, whoever wins it. And if you get the right one, whether it's Gordo's heartthrob, Mingyang Zhang, or whether it's Brenson Ribeiro, somebody's going to score big there.
Yep, I love that fight. It's a fight that I don't know who's going to win, but what I do know is I think it's going to score very well, and somebody's probably getting knocked out in the first 5 minutes. For me, I'm going with my favorite fight on the entire card, and it's going to be Anthony Hernandez going against Roman Kopylov, a fight that it's a striker versus grappler matchup, and whoever gets their game plan going is probably going to score very well. If Kopylov is able to stuff these takedowns, like he can go out there and potentially knock out Anthony Hernandez, who's been hurt to the body multiple times. Kopylov, really good body kicks, mixes it up well, also has a nasty head kick. But I kind of am more so on the side of Fluffy Hernandez being able to take down Kopylov, who on paper does have a 92% takedown defense, but he's fought guys like Albert Duraev, Haley Soriano, Josh Fremd. I think Anthony Hernandez is a much bigger monster than those guys. Hernandez landing almost 7 takedowns per 15 minutes. And I just think, the biggest skill gap in this fight is in the grappling. I think Hernandez is going to style on Kopylov if this fight hits the mat. So I'm more so on the Hernandez side, but, Kopylov definitely has a path. This guy hits very, very hard, and we've seen Hernandez hurt multiple times. So I'm liking this fight from a fan perspective and a DraftKings perspective as well. Gordo, which fight are you targeting the heaviest for UFC 298?
I don't know what to say anymore. We took away my Valentine's Day date on the first one, and then took away the backup, the curly-haired cutie there in Kopylov. So I'm down to my third option here, which still is a crime that you guys let me have the main event as the third one here. We have Alexander Volkanovski, Ilia Topuria, 8.2K to 8K mid-range salaries. And truthfully, aside from Machado, we never see Volkanovski this low, and that's because this guy averages 101.8 points across all of his fights there, and that's including his 4.5 point loss last time. The guy in his last wins has scored 136, 114, 133, 135. Incredible score. He's an incredible drafting score. And even in these fights that are going to decision that have no grappling, his volume, his ability to win fights decisions down the stretch allow for him to be a great play at 8.2K. He's facing the young buck here in Ilia Topuria, and although he is the one probably celebrating Valentine's Day with the roses he always has at 8K, he is a young killer. He does have finish equity. He is someone who's also going to fight at a very good pace. Both these guys are phenomenal drafting score, and I do project the winner to score very, very well at this mid-range. You're able to afford them both. Pick your side.
All right, yeah, 3 really good ones there. Monk, which is your favorite?
Yep, as you know, I write 4 down every week, and those 3 were on my list, so I'll go with the 4th one. I'm going with the big boys, Marcos Rogério de Lima and Justin Tafa. Listen, when Tafa wins, it is in the first round, and he scores well over 100 points. Let's see, when de Lima wins, 70% of his wins, 60% of his total UFC wins, he's scored over 100. 70% of those wins happened in the very first round, so a ton of finishes from these guys in the first round. Look, if there's a way, so obviously I think somebody's getting finished relatively early. If there's a way that de Lima can avoid that huge shot from Tafa and just land one body lock takedown, the shit could be over relatively quickly, whether it's ground and pound from de Lima or in fact a super lazy arm triangle, something like that, where Tafa's like, well, I can't get up for the next 4.5 minutes. I'm just going to be done. And Tafa's just going to be looking to land that bomb, which he can do. So this is a huge GPP fight for me. And I'll be targeting it very heavily. I love the other 3 fights that you guys gave, and this is one I would include in that list for sure.
Sounds good. Yeah, four great ones there. A lot of the fights we did mention are in that mid-range. I think the mid-range is stacked this week. A lot of fights that I'm really interested in from a DraftKings perspective. All right, we'll move on now to our fight to fade. Kind of tough here. We got 12 fights, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the fight to fade. We'll start with you, Gordo.
Oh, what an honor. I will take Miranda Maverick versus Andrea Lee as my fight to fade this week. One where, you know what, we just don't have that same amount of action. It is one that is projected to go the distance, and I would not be surprised with a split decision or a decision win in a very, very close fight here. But pretty much what it boils down to is I do not think this fight is the same finish equity or DraftKings scoring equity than the people around her. I mean, this is a card that has not only Anthony Hernandez and Merab Dvalishvili, but it has, Ming Yang Zhang and Claudio Ribeiro. It has Volkanovski Topuria. There is such a loaded DraftKings card that has an incredibly high ceiling that it's hard to see someone like Maverick go out there and get her toughest test to date really and excel. At 8.9K, she's very expensive, and I do think she has a path to win this fight, but not one that outscores the people around her at a high clip. Flip side of things, although Lee, I think, has a chance to win this one, she is one that I more so see a decision win coming out of her. In her last 2 decision wins, she scored 70 and 78. It could be okay at 7.3. I just don't think this fight is the highest ceiling, and for that reason, it'll be the one I'm fading this week.
All right, Monk, which fight are you fading for this week?
Yeah, this was, like you said, super tough. Like, I try to write 4 down, like I just said, I could only come up with 2, and the second one is a stretch. So even the first one's kind of a stretch. I'm going Garry and Geoff Neal. If I have to pick a fight to fade, that's one that I could consider just because I personally think this one's going to decision. Look, if Garry lands a knockdown, he generally scores well and gets it done early. If he doesn't, then he scores like 60 points in a decision win. And that's kind of the way I see this one going. Geoff Neal, pretty tough to get out of there. Also, Garry overall, 94 points per win. So on average, like I just said, he's scoring well over 100, and then he's scoring like 60. So it balances out at well under 100 points. Geoff Neal is right under 100 as well at 98. only allowing 90 when he loses. So if I got to pick one, I'm going to pick this one as a fight to fade, just because, as I said, I think it goes the distance. And Garry, I am going to probably pick him to win against what my heart believes. But, like I said, if he wins in a decision, we could be looking at 60, 70, or 80 points. Any of those not going to pay off that salary.
All right. For me, I'm going to be fading the Robert Whittaker Paulo Costa fight for a multitude of reasons. For one, I don't think this fight's probably even happening. So right at the bat, like easy fade, this fight's probably not happening. But if it does happen, I think Robert Whittaker wins. I think it's a pretty good matchup for him, but I'm just not really sure, what the upside of Robert Whittaker is. He's not the highest volume striker, especially, later in his career. It's not landing a ton. Maybe he gets a takedown here, maybe, but Paulo Costa has great takedown defense. So I think this fight does go 15 minutes, and I don't think Whittaker's knocking out Costa, who, for what it's worth, is just next level tough and durable. So I kind of see Whittaker winning a decision here, and at 9,000, there's just so many other options I like in the mid range, especially, and then there's somebody up top I really like. We'll talk about. So I'll fade the Whittaker Costa fight. Probably doesn't happen, but if it does, I still probably won't have a ton of it. Weezy, which fight are you fading for this week?
Yeah, for me, it's going to be the Quinlan Barlow fight. I think it'd be like a sneaky one to avoid this week because both of these guys are kind of low volume strikers. They both are guys that like to land that one big shot. And if this fight doesn't finish inside the distance, I could see these guys kind of standing at distance, especially because it's so hard to close the distance on someone like Danny Barlow, who's got a 79-inch reach and who's so precise with his counters that you kind of set yourself up to receive that big shot if you go in too recklessly. We saw Quinlan against a similar opponent in Trey Waters be very tentative out there, be very low volume. And I think he could have the same problem trying to close distance and find his way into the pocket against Barlow here. So if that happens, if Barlow doesn't find a big shot early, I think neither one of these guys will score a lot of points because they're going to be low volume strikers that don't wrestle much.
Yep, makes sense. I like that we gave 4 different ones there for the fight to fade. Next, we'll move on to the fighter to fade. I think Monk talked about this fight as a whole, but I'm going to fade Ian Garry here, 9,100. He's not wrestling. I mean, nobody's taken Geoff Neal down. We saw what Shavkat was not able to do against Geoff Neal. And I don't think Gary's going to wrestle here either. I think this fight plays out on the feed. And yeah, I think the most likely scenario here is probably an Ian Garry decision where he's just doing more across 15 minutes. I think he's the better striker overall, but he's got to be worried about that power of Geoff Neal coming back his way. 9,100. I mean, I want to attack this mid-range. I'm staying away from the 9K range for the most part. I don't really like Whittaker. I don't really like Garry. I don't really like Maverick as well. So yeah, I'm fading Ian Garry this week at 9,100. Weezy, who are you fading for this week?
My fade this week is going to be Robert Whittaker. Like you said, I think that this is a fight where Costa could show up, make weight, and then something could happen on fight day and the fight doesn't happen because Costa is just a stunt puller at this point. And if Costa pulls a stunt, his opponent doesn't fight either, right? So I think you have that to worry about. On top of that, Whittaker's not a big wrestler. Whittaker's not a big Draftkings scorer. 2.71 Draftkings points per minute. So that's giving you about 40 points in a decision loss, 70 points in a decision win at that pace. So that's something that at 9,000, you kind of need an early knockout, first or second round out of Whittaker in order for him to pay off that salary. And he's not doing that a lot these days. So, and then you also have to worry about this fight not happening. So yeah, that's a good fade this week.
Yep, agree on that one. Monk, who are you fading for this week?
Well, apologies to Gordo, but I do not choose Zhang Ming Yang this week. 8,400. Yeah, he's down the totem pole of salary. And look, in the 3 minutes the guy fought, he scored a shitload of points. But he did somehow give up 5 points a minute inside the distance, and that is where Ribeiro scored majority of his, at least a huge number of points. I mean, the guy himself was over 6 points a minute pretty much everywhere. The main reason that I'm going to put Ming Yang in the friend zone is because not only did this dude lose to an 0-0 fighter, not only did he lose to an 0-0 fighter, he got choked out by said fighter in the first round. He also lost to Askar Mozarov, the biggest fraud we've ever seen. The dude is a real life Scooby-Doo character. I think somebody from Sherdog or whoever it was pulled his mask off and exposed him as the fraud he was. So I am sorry, Ming Yang. I do not choose you this week.
All right. Fading Zhang Mingyang. Weezy, who are you fading this week?
I already gave you the fade, the Whittaker fade this week.
Gordo then. Gordo.
That hurt, Monk. That hurt. Robert Whittaker. Nothing much to add to what Weezy had to say. I think both Whittaker, Garry, and Maverick are tough options to go up there and pay up for at that range. I know Brady kind of alluded to it, but I think out of the three of them, Whittaker's a guy who I absolutely love, but it is just limited by a few things. Not only is there that pull-out risk that Weezy mentioned, but the fact that we saw him get hurt a few times out the size, and I don't know if it was just a one-off performance, but if you're giving the one path to victory and Costa being a finish, the floor for Whittaker could be limited at this point. I still think he wins this fight. I still think he's able to use the outside range, but he is a guy with a pretty low ceiling, but also a guy who could be hurt and could be finished in the spot as well. I think he wins. I just don't think he puts up that much of a score in the process. I think there are better options.
Yep, feeling the same way there. All right, so we'll move on to our favorite dog play. I feel like you can make a case for a lot of these dogs. We'll start with you, Monk. Who is your favorite dog out of all the dogs on the card?
Well, I'll just go back to back with Gordo twice, and I'm going to pick Paulo Costa at 7,200. I mean, frankly, on paper, this fight is much, much closer than 9K to 7,200. Yeah, if we take out the ring rust, quote unquote, ring rust that Paulo Costa's, that's been affecting him for a year and a half. It's been that long since the bloody battle with, between him and Luke Rockhold. Both guys lost to Adesanya 3 fights ago. Robert beat Vettori 2 fights ago. Costa lost a close one against Vettori, and then they switched L's and W's in their last fight, where Whittaker was a minus 312 favorite, as we all know, and then lost somewhat surprisingly, at least to some of us, to the now current champion DDP. Like I said, I just think this one's going to be a lot closer. I think Paulo does have a possibility at a finish, although I think he also has a possibility at a greasy decision. And at 7,200, I'm willing to gamble there and play him as a very low salary dog this week at 7,200.
All right. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
What?
Sorry.
Woof,
I forgot my mic was on. I barked.
You barked.
It's a dog, dude. The dogs are barking.
That is a first. That is the first bark I've heard on the show. So shout out to Gordo for that. Yeah. Anyway, I was saying, for me, I'm going to go with sorry, you caught me off guard. Brenson Ribeiro, 7,800. Yeah, I think somebody's getting served here. Like, the fight won't start round 2. I think it's like minus 200. I mean, these guys, their fights finish inside the distance. Both these guys are all offense, 0 defense, especially Zhang Mingyang. I mean, you go watch this guy's fights. Literally the worst striking defense you ever see. Like, it's non-existent. He eats punches with his face, and you just can't do that at light heavyweight. I mean, these guys at light heavyweight hit so hard, and it's no wonder this guy's been finished in 4 of his 5 losses, the majority of those coming by knockout. He's going against a guy in Ribeiro who hits very hard, has an 81-inch reach, and he's going to be walking right into punches. I'm not sure it's going to work out for him. So I'm not extremely confident in Ribeiro, but I'm confident this fight does finish, and I'm confident it does finish under 1.5 rounds. And he's the underdog, and it's a $600 savings off of Zhang Mingyang. So give me Ribeiro. He is my favorite dog on the card. Gordo, who is your favorite dog on the card?
No woof for that one. We're still on our boy Zhang Mingyang here. But I actually wrote down one that I knew you guys wouldn't talk about, just so I wouldn't have to worry about you guys taking my pick. My sneaky underdog this week is going to be Quinlan, 7.5K. I do think he is someone who, if he does win this fight, will look like a hindsight favorite. And I know Weezy alluded to all the risk factors here. He's going up against an opponent with a very long reach and a lot of good countering opportunities. But when we have seen Barlow struggle, it has been on the mat. And although Quinlan's a guy who does have a lot of power in the feet, he does have the ability to wrestle. Barlow, although left hand to God is a sick nickname, and he exemplifies that with a lot of power, he's limited to that. He doesn't throw many kicks. Doesn't have many other weapons than that, and his grappling is really suspect here. If Quinlan does win, it's going to come with a lot of wrestling. He also has a lot of power, and I do think he will look like a hindsight favorite. Shallot go to the mat at 7.5K. He does have a very good ceiling, and I expect his ownership to be pretty low this week.
Yeah, I do. I think he'll be low owned as well. Monk, where do you rank Danny Barlow's nickname in terms of this nicknames on the cards this week?
It is pretty good. Who else do we have? I mean,
Dong Ming Yong is
Hands of Steel Neal is always good. Fluffy is
the Mountain Tiger.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
KGB.
Oh,
KGB. Well, for sure we know Fear is the worst. Also, 2 Mavericks on this card. Josh the Maverick Quinlan. Like, what are we doing here, guys? What are we doing?
The Welsh gangster.
The Welsh gangster's good. Another not good one, Pequeño. You don't want to be the small guy when you're out there. Yeah, but I think it's up there for sure. Left hand to God. It's all like one word. There's a 2 in there. It's fantastic.
I think it's got to be the best. Like I can't think of I do like Hands of Steel. I do like that.
Hands of Steel is good. It's a Z. It's hands with a Z.
I do like that.
That's misspelled.
That's
What about Paulo Costa, the Eraser?
That makes me think of the movie Eraser, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger.
There you go. All right. I think Weezy. Who do you have as your favorite dog this week?
Dog this week. I went with Hibero. Just because he's got 100% finish rate in his wins, and Zhang's been finishing all but 1 loss. But you know who you could also go with? I think that if you go with Justin Tafa this week, his win condition is first round knockout. He's never won any other way. So at 7,700, you're getting a guy who's basically guaranteed 100 points if he gets a first round knockout. So I think that that's a pretty good dog play, and it's going to be a close fight. You know, I was talking about it on Couch Warriors podcast. My man Moyes clipped me talking about the ass theory, right? You know, when you're trying to take down another heavyweight that's got a gigantic ass, you know, it's really hard to get your arms around them, get your hands locked underneath their ass, because you got to get your arms around a gigantic ass, and then you got to move said gigantic ass around. Takes a lot of energy. It's very difficult to do it in that fat ass. It acts like a counterbalance. And look at Tafa. Guy's built like a bowling ball. You know, so try to take down a bowling ball. How's that going to work for you? It's already down, you know? So that's yeah, Tafa 7,700. Let's go. He's got a lot of upside.
That's a bad man with a big ass.
Looks like the fucking Kool-Aid man.
All right. Moving on.
Like the
Kool-Aid. Wait, isn't Tafa the guy that missed the heavyweight that missed weight?
He missed weight. Yeah, dude. He came in
First one ever. Chris Barnett followed in his
He was just scared of Barry Hunt.
If you were like a 135 or cutting weight, and then Tafa's fat ass is in the sauna, and you're like, hey, dude, get out of here, man. I need to cut weight. And he's like, no, I'm heavy. I actually need to cut weight. It's like, dude,
you're cutting weight at heavyweight, bro? Jeez.
Trying to cut this last half pound down to 136, and I got Tafa in here sweating butter, you know.
He's like 5'5".
Tafa?
Oh my god.
Tafa says he's 6 foot, but yeah, you're right, Monk. I think he's closer to 5'5".
This is getting clipped after Tafa wins.
We can't have Tafa go after us. I don't want Tafa to come after me on Twitter. Like, that's somebody I don't want coming after me.
At least we know with
God he's on another long ass
fight. That's a long ass fight, bro.
Yeah, I'm not talking no crap about Tafa, that's for sure. I don't want that guy coming after me.
Plus, there are 2 of them, so
there's 3 of them, I think.
Oh, maybe
you need.
Well, all right. We shall move on then to the prize picks section of the show. I'm going to kick this one off. We basically talked about this one like the entire show this far. It's Robert Whittaker, less than 87.5 fantasy score. That's a little bit too high for me. I think he goes out there and probably gets a decision win. I also think if he loses, he's probably potentially getting knocked out. I think the chin of Whittaker is something that kind of concerns me. But yeah, I don't really see Whittaker wrestling much. I mean, maybe he gets a takedown, maybe. I don't think he's high volume, especially at this point in his career. He's not really at all. Just 87.5. I don't really see him getting close to that at all. I don't think he's knocking out Paulo Costa, has a brick for a head. So yeah, I think Whittaker soars to the less here on the fantasy score. 87.5. Give me the less. Weezy, Do you have your prize picks play for this week?
What was the play? I was gonna go with
Do you want to come back to
Oh
you?
yeah. No, I'm sorry. I know what it is. It's the over on significant strikes for Alexander Volkanovski at 85.5. This guy's landing like 6 significant strikes a minute, you guys. This is not a fight that needs to go that long in order for Alex to rack up that many significant strikes. Alex is landing 6.19 significant strikes per minute, and at distance he's landing 6.36 per minute. He's very accurate. He throws a lot of high percentage kicks and body shots, so he can rack that up pretty good. I got this fight going over anyway. I see it stylistically going over, and Volkanovski is a guy that can rack up 80 significant strikes in 10 or 15 minutes, much less the full 25. I think if it goes the distance, unless Volkanovski wrestles in all 5 rounds, I see him getting that number.
Yep, absolutely. If this fight gets extended, I think he's crushing that. Gordo, what is your prize picks play for this week?
I won't lie to you, fellas. This is the first time I'm looking at prize picks this week. And the one thing that does stand out to me is Oban Elliott over 2.0 takedowns. To me, that's something I think is really rooted in his path to victory and his overall style. He is a primary wrestler, and I don't want to get into no ass theory like Weezy's been talking about, but I do think he's going to have to want to go out there and wrestle Woodburn. That seems to be in his DNA. 2 takedowns flat. He doesn't even have to get that third. You can get a push in the second one. I like that there. I do think he goes over.
Yeah, you leave the ass theory to your Uncle Weezy,
and the tits metric, all you.
Damn right.
Takes experience to handle that shit.
Absolutely. Monk, what do you got on prize picks?
Yeah, I like a lot of those. I'm going to go with the over 38.5 significant strikes for Fluffy Hernandez. I think this one does get extended, hopefully to the late second to third round. I am picking Fluffy to get that finish there, but the history is there. I mean, a decision against Fremd, 11, almost 12 minutes against Barrio, and just over 11 minutes against Shabazian. 63 strikes, 39 and 48 in his last 3, and he was right there at 32 against Adolfo Vieira, even if he was getting controlled the whole time. The dude has a ton of ground and pound as well, which hopefully if he can get inside on Kopylov and get him down, start landing some of that, we can take care of this, inside of 2 rounds. In his last 5, he's over 4 strikes a minute. At 67% accuracy, by the way, not to mention the 7.26 takedowns in the last 15 minutes in those same 5 fights. So yeah, if he can do either one of those land strikes at a very high clip of over 2-1, or get a takedown and some ground and pound, I think the over 38.5 is a decent number here for my projected winner, Fluffy Hernandez.
Yeah, I like it. Especially if they count those ground. Sometimes they don't count the ground and pound.
Sometimes they don't, but as Matt Cohen just mentioned, if it's elbows, they generally have to count elbows.
If they're significant, they'll count. If they're significant, they'll count.
And we'll get to it again later, but the ones they don't count, in this case specifically with Hernandez and Merab, those guys score a shitload of, and with Dern in her last fight or 2 fight, I don't know what it was. Those guys score a shitload of points based on non-significant strikes. So they're just racking them up down there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
He's gone over that in every single fight that he's won, except for one, and that was against Vieira, who was wrestling with the whole time. So, I like it.
And he was close.
There we go. All right, so that is the prize picks for this week. Now we'll move on to our favorite GPP play. We'll kick it to you, Gordo. What are you liking this week?
Zhang Ming Yang. I don't care what's going on here with his love for Rogério. There's no denying this fight is going to end early. I don't care. You know what? You guys can take the Brazilian down there. I got myself the Mountain Tiger, Zhang Ming Yang, by my side, and he will go forward. This guy says he's 6'2". He's not 6'2". He's a tank, and he's going to walk down Rogério, and he's going to go out there, and he is going to land some vicious strikes. All jokes aside, this is a GPP fight, one that is expected to end very, very early. And if this is the case, if a lot of people are reverting to the underdog, I will take my shot on a lower-owned fighter at 8.4K, who I do expect to have the forward pressure in this matchup and have the same opportunity to get that first-round finish. I do think the winner of this fight scores very, very well. And at 8.4K, a round 1 win for a guy who a lot of people are not trusting too much, should score very well at low ownership. I do really like Zhang Ming Yang, the Mountain Tiger, at 8.4K.
Absolutely. And you're right. This guy's not 6'2". He's like 6'5". He's a giant in there. But you're right. I mean, it's a fight. If he wins, he's going to score very well with the first round finish. I'm going with the biggest favorite on the card here, Rinya Nakamura, 9,600. And I made my lineups already. It's easy to get him in there for me this week. I don't like a lot of these fighters in the mid range. Like I said, I don't like Robert Whittaker. I don't like Ian Garry. I don't like Miranda Maverick, who's 8,900. Even Oban Elliott, I don't hate, but at the same time, I do like Rinya Nakamura the best up there, 9,600. I think there's a lot of live dogs this week. I think there's a lot of low salary fighters, so it's easy to get him in there. And he has a ton of upside. This guy's anywhere from a minus 1,000 to minus 1,350 favorite. I think he's going to have just the most significant wrestling edge ever against Carlos Vera, who has the worst takedown defense I've ever seen. Carlos Vera, not only that, he gives up dominant positions, gives up his back. He'll roll for legs, ankles, and you can't do that at this level in the UFC. I think Rinya Nakamura is live to either get a submission or a TKO here, and I think he puts up a big score. So give me Rinya Nakamura. Expensive, but I think worth it this week. Monk, who are you liking for a GBP play?
Yeah, speaking of rest like that, he's going to be the widest line guy until Umar fights whoever the fuck they put against Umar, because no one else will fight. And the dude's going to be minus 10,000. He's probably going to be a first ever $10,000 DK fighter, and worth every penny.
He opened at minus 350 only.
What's that?
He opened to minus 350 only.
What's he at now? Minus 1,000.
Buddy, you make me do homework. What is going on?
Well, I didn't know the line.
Moser off on my phone right now.
Yeah, you got to save that. You got to save that. Minus 350 is a ridiculous line. Yeah, I can't believe I'm third and I get to say Merab Dvalishvili here. Yes, he's against an Olympic wrestler in Cejudo. This dude, oh God, I'm trying to leave the bias out of it because Merab is one of my favorite fighters, and I don't know who you are if you like Henry Cejudo as a person. I mean, the shit that he just did this week where he's like, oh, I fired my coach. No, wait, it was a prank. Aren't we the best? No, you're not the best. You're terrible, and I hope Merab fucking pancakes you. But the upside here for Dvalishvili is through the roof. I mean, 167 against Jan, 163 against Moraes. Those are obviously different fights than this one presently, but Merab can find those takedowns, and when he does find takedowns, he generally scores incredibly well. It's the fights in which he doesn't find takedowns that I'm worried about. Like the Aldo fight. No takedowns landed, scored 78 points. Yeah, he controlled him for a shitload of the fight, but it was all up against the cage. And he only landed 2 against Dodson 5 fights ago, scored only 74 points. So if Cejudo can somehow stop takedowns from Dvalishvili, this could be interesting, and Merab could maybe not score a ton of points. But man, Cejudo's getting up there in age. He's constantly talking about it's all or nothing for me at this point. And Merab is freaking relentless. He will never stop. And I think he will be able to get at least a few takedowns and score pretty well here. So give me Merab for obvious reasons. One of my favorite GPP plays.
All right. Yeah, Gordo.
I lied. He's minus 550. But still.
Okay, that's a little bit more respect. Put some more respect on Umar's name.
It's still not the minus 2,000 that Bo Nickal.
I mean, we could get there. We could get there. That's true. Yeah, we're not there yet.
Parlay boys haven't got him in a bunch of parlays
exactly.
Yet.
Yeah,
value.
Yes, 100%. I think Weezy, right? Weezy, who is your favorite GPP play?
Yeah, it's Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. This guy scores 5.4 DraftKings points per minute, and that works out to 81 points in a decision loss at that rate. He's a DraftKings monster. Leaving him out of your lineup is a massive risk because of the upside that this guy has when he fights his fight. You just see when this guy gets his way, he's putting up triple digits every single time. And whether it's on the feet or on the mat, the guy is working, scoring constantly. You don't want to have this guy outside of your lineup. It's just too big of a risk.
Yay!
Don't even say shit. Just let him just keep going. We'll just nod our head and see how long we can get.
Celebrate failure. So when I
shouldn't have said anything. I would have kept going for like another minute. Dang it.
I
I mean,
barked earlier. I gotta have something else happen.
it happens. It happens.
It does.
But anywho, we'll move on. I think we covered everybody. We're gonna go to our favorite cash play. I will kick us off here. My favorite cash play is going to be Merab Dvalishvili 8,600. This fight is heavily favored to go the distance. I think it's like either the second. I think it's maybe the second fight that is, heavily is favored to go the distance. And what I like about Rob is win or lose, he's going to go out there and attempt like 30 takedowns. Win or lose, he's going to go out there and attempt like 300 strikes, whether he's landing a lot or not. I just feel like he has such a safe floor because we don't see anything like Merab. He's going to go out there, attempt a ton of takedowns, attempt a ton of strikes. He's nonstop the entire time for 15 minutes. If he wins, I think he has a big ceiling. And if he loses, I think he has a high floor. For that reason, I love him in cash this week. Gordo, who are you liking in cash this week for yourself?
Very easy for me this week. It's going to be Rinya Nakamura, 9.6K. And cash, man, it doesn't get any easier than this. It is a fight that I do anticipate being a highlight reel addition for Rinya Nakamura. He hasn't beat everywhere. It's hard to see a spot where Carlos Vera does have the advantage. I do think Nakamura is the prospect they're looking to promote here, someone with great wrestling upside as well as some improving striking. I do think he has the ability to go out there and have not only a super high floor this week in a win, but with wrestling upside and finish upside should have a high ceiling.
Yep, I think he's a borderline must for cash this week. Monk, who are you liking for cash this week?
I mean, we seem to just be rotating, which I think is fantastic because there's some obvious plays here. I'm going to go with Fluffy Hernandez. Obvious cash play to me. All he has to do is avoid getting, the big shot, the big head kick, or the big shot landed on him from Kopylov, who's knocked down 4 of his last 5 opponents. If he can avoid that, I think this is, like Weezy said, it's Fluffy all day. The guy in his last 5.6 points a minute, 111 per win. I mean, consistently over. Like just his last 3, 116, 120, 117. The dude is scoring outrageously high amounts of points. And I think he can keep that game plan going against a tough but beatable competitor like Roman Kopylov here. So yeah, obvious cash play. And he's not too expensive outside of that 9K range, which I totally agree with Brady. Not the best this week. So yeah, give me Fluffy Hernandez for cash.
All right, and last but not least, Uncle Weezy, who are you liking in cash this week?
Yeah, I put Merab down, and he's going to be in my lineup, but I don't think it's a good matchup for him this week. He's not a better wrestler than Henry Cejudo. He never will be. And I don't think it's going to be. I don't think he's going to shoot a lot of takedowns here because I think Cejudo puts him on his back if he does. So what Merab does do really well, though, is pressure and throw a ton of strikes on the feet as well. His striking is so busy that I don't think he really needs to get takedowns in order to do his usual thing and score a bunch of Draftkings points because it really doesn't matter where the fight is. Merab's going to be very busy. So I think it's risky to leave that dude out of your lineup. Like I talked about Hernandez, if he wins, if he gets his fight going, that dude isn't in your lineup. That lineup is probably dead in terms of having a chance of being optimal. And it's the same way where if Merab gets his fight going, you don't want this guy out of your lineup. I just would mute the expectations a little bit this week because he's not going to out-wrestle Henry Cejudo.
You don't think it tries at all?
No, I think he tries some, but I think if he tries, Brady, what's going to happen is what happened in the Sterling fight. Because Sterling is a much more dangerous submission grappler than Merab is. So you have to be very careful when Aljo gets you down. You cannot show him your back. Merab, you just stand right back up. He's not going to get your back. He's not going to choke you out. But Cejudo wound up with less takedown attempts and with less takedowns, getting more control time on Aljo. And that's because he is such a fantastic counter wrestler. And when he gets you down, he can kind of keep you there a lot longer than Merab can.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I don't think he's out wrestling Cejudo. I do think he'll attempt takedowns, though. But yeah, like me some Merab as well. All right, we'll move on to our favorite value play. We'll stick with you, Weezy. Who are you liking for some value this week?
The value this week, I think I have Volkanovski. Yeah, I mean, it's Alexander Volkanovski. In his last 5 championship fights at featherweight, which is where this fight is taking place, he's the featherweight GOAT. He's averaging 119.28 Draftkings points per fight. And he can be had this week for 8,200. definitely a great value play. This is a guy who might mix in the wrestling and has been known to do that when he's not as comfortable on the feet. That's always the kind of fighter that you want to target. But even if it's not any wrestling, he's high volume enough at distance in order to score plenty of points over a 25-minute stretch with just his striking.
Yeah, it's got to be Volkanovski for me as well. I feel like there's a lot of value here. It's just weird seeing Volkanovski at 8,200 against, any featherweight here. The amount of volume he lands, 25 minutes to work with at this price tag. If he wins, he's going to be optimal. Just has to worry about that big shot. Maybe the durability is an issue, but outside of that, I think it's a matchup where Volk can go out there and put up a big score at this price tag. So maybe Volk as well as a value play. Gordo, how about you?
Yeah, I have Volk written down as well. And my secondary option was Merab. And we talked about them both. So both these guys are going to be a hindsight value. I don't have much more to add to that. You guys broke it down perfectly. It's not an option we get. Potential GOAT statuses here at 8.2K. I think he's able to show out and excel his 8.2K price tag.
Fair enough. So we're all thinking the same thing. Monk, anything different?
I mean, I'll give you one different, but I mean, Volk, humongous value, huge fan. Want him to win. I mean, the king of the featherweight division, people are being straight up disrespectful. Give me Justin Tafa for favorite value play. The dude is only like 7,700. He's actually the cheapest by far he's been in any of his last 5 fights. 9K, 8.8, 8.4, 9.4, and 9.0 against Jared Vandera. But yeah, well under the average salary in his last 5. And all he has to do is land that one shot. His path to victory, I think Weezy said his only path to victory, literally on paper, is a round 1 KO, was the only way he's ever won. And Rogério de Lima did just get chinned by Derek Lewis, flying knee, followed up by a ton of shots, ground and pound wise. And that was about 7 months ago. So it's not out of the realm of possibility here. Huge shit show heavyweight fight right in the middle of the card. 7.7K could be tremendous value if he drops triple digits this week. So Justin Tafa, the Kool-Aid man, the human bowling ball. Let's go.
Let's go. All right. And last we have the dart throw. What do you guys got? We'll start with you, Gordo.
Oh, it's the GOAT, Val Woodburn, 6.9K.
Oh,
What?
That was mine. You took
I had him written down too.
Stop it.
He's the obvious play this week. We
mine.
can share him, Monk. We can share him.
My
right? As long as you
Valentine.
say sorry to Zhang Ming Yang, we can do whatever you want.
I'll
Right?
never
6.9K. If Woodburn goes out there and wins, he's going to be burning wood all the way to the top, man. He's a guy who does have some really good GBP accuracy here. He's someone who is a very powerful guy. And although Oban Elliott is a good wrestling threat, he holds his head up high. He has been knocked out before. That cardio is in question. And I don't know nothing about no ass like Weezy was talking about, but Woodburn's a stocky guy. He's going to make Elliott work. He's going to allow for more time to work on the feet. At 6.9K, the path to victory for Woodburn is going to score very, very well against a guy in Elliott who I do feel to be a bit reckless in there with a high chin. The power edge is there for Woodburn. I do think he has the advantage to score very, very well, and he allows for you to get to anybody up top you like. So 6.9K, he is a dart throw and a half this week.
Yep, I went with Woodburn as well. Somebody else I'll throw out that I don't think is going to be low owned, but I think could potentially pull off this upsets. Andrea Lee, 7,300. I mean, this fight could play out close. Like, I think Lee she's been in a lot of close fights with a lot of really good fighters. Maverick's a really good fighter. I do think Maverick probably wins, but if Lee does win, she has decent volume, decent wrestling in her own right. She could rack up some controls. Looking at some of her wins, she got 103 against Calvillo, like 115 against Shevchenko. Probably more so a cash play, but I think she's kind of live for a dart throw. But yeah, Woodburn was mine for sure. Monk, who are you liking for a dart throw this week?
Agree there. I had Andrea Lee written down second, but obviously it's Valentine Woodburn for 3 reasons. Valentine's Day week, and he's $6,900. I don't have to say anymore.
Man.
Let's just hope your wood don't burn after.
And his nickname is all caps, the animal. Come on, bro.
I think you said the best there, Monk. Weezy, who is your dart throw though?
I'm just, after what Monk just said, I can't even follow that. I just got to ride the coattails there and say Val. I mean, come on.
100%.
Let's go,
All
Val.
That was beautiful. All right. So what we'll do now is we'll go over the results from last week. If you guys have any comments or questions in the chat, type them in. We only have one question right now, and it's not even really a question. So let's get those questions in there. So last week we had UFC Vegas 86, and in fourth place, what's going on? Okay, there we go. In fourth place, we have Monk. He had Daniel Marcos, the unfortunate no contest there. Marcos scored 33.84. Carlos Praches, 95. Devin Clark, 21. Max Griffin, 50. Kwamba, 22. And then Jack Hermanson, 102. Monk scored 25.35. Third place was Gordo. Carlos Praches, 95. Pfeiffer, 38. Pauga, 9. Vieira, 113. Kwamba, 22. Pateria, 73. Gordo scored 352.56. Second place was our Uncle Weezy. Gregory Rodriguez, 90. Brechek, 15. Emil, 115. Michael Johnson, 89. Vieira, 113. And then Arichi Long at 19. And then first place was myself. Joe Pfeiffer, 38. Hyder Emil, 115. Dan Ige, 104. Michael Johnson, 89. Bogdan Guskov, 107. And then Ihor Pateria, 73, scoring 528.62. So yeah, I think that might be 2 first places in a row. Are pretty close for me. So that's good. In terms of prize picks, Gordo, you hit mine. You stole mine last week. Remember that? Remember that, Gordo? You hit it. Emil over 54.5 significant strikes. And then I had to give out, Wells over 1.5 takedowns. Wells decided for the first time in his career he's not going to wrestle. So that was great. Missed that. Weezy, you had the Clark under 45.5 significant strikes. I think he just barely went over. And then Monk, you hit the Luke Boonme over 50.5 significant strikes on prize picks. So we went 2-2 on prize picks. In terms of the overall standings, we have in fourth place Monk with 1,359 DraftKings points. Weezy with 14,084 DraftKings points. Gordo, 15th. I am just fried.
I got 14,000. I am waxing you
fucking
bitches.
smashed.
I am fried. No, 1,400. 1,400. Gordo, you have 1,568. And then I have 1,749. Let's see here. We got Gordo, you're 180 behind me. Weezy, 264 behind me. And then Monk, 390 behind me. We are 4 cards in. Only 4 cards in. All right. So with all that out of the way, we'll do our lineups and then we'll get to some questions. I see them in the chat here. Let's start with Weezy. Do you have your lineup ready for this week?
The lineup, yes. I am going with the 3 DraftKings cornerstones in Volkanovski, Dvalishvili, and Fluffy Hernandez. And then I'm mixing in from there left hand to God, Danny Barlow, Brenson Ribeiro, and Mackenzie Dern.
Yeah, we're very close. I think we have 4 of the same. I'm as well going with Merab, Fluffy, Ribeiro, and Volkanovski. So we have those 4 the same, but I went Nakamura and Woodburn. Gordo, what do you got for this week?
Let Monk go first. I want to see something.
All right, Monk, what do you got for this week?
We also have 4 of the same. Fluffy, Barlow, Volkanovski, and Merab. And then I went Amanda Lemos and Paulo Secret Juice Costa.
All right. And Gordo, what do you got for this week?
I made 2 lineups. I made one called the Show Love to Mig Yang lineup, and I think I'm going to have to run that this week. We'll get Zhang, Ming Yang. This is a pretty mid-range lineup. So we're going to go Zhang, Ming Yang in there. I also have the 3 cornerstones, Merab, Hernandez, Volkanovski. I then also have Marcos Rogério de Lima and Josh Quinlan.
All right. Let's get to some questions. Wait, I thought I got 612-point lineup from one of you guys. Maybe I was wrong. I think it was Gordo, but I think Gordo changed his
switched my lineup.
Yikes.
Yeah, we do that a lot because last week in particular, I think there were 3 fights that weren't even priced yet.
Yeah.
On Tuesday when we did the show, or on Wednesday when we did the show, so that's why a lot of us changed our lineups from the show. So
hey,
I'm not changing unless Costa drops out. I'm not touching. I'm not even going to think about it unless Costa drops out, which is not happening, Brady.
Oh, it already happened.
No, stop it.
It already happened.
That was my lineup.
There you go. So shout out to Gordo for that. All right. Kyle Marley saying free Lou Betcha. I agree. Free Lou
Always.
Betcha. Free him. Let's see. This one can go to the panel. Tafa or Dern? I don't know. I mean, I don't hate them. I don't hate both of them. Anybody have a strong one there?
I think Top has the better upside, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Anybody else?
First round
I
knockout.
think Tapa's the clear GPP play. I think he's got more upside round one, but the safer, higher floor is going to be Dern here.
Agreed.
Yeah, I have a fair share of both of them. Rinya inside the distance, -175 value. What's interesting about that, Jack, is BetOnline opened up Rinya inside the distance at -700. They opened up the fight, doesn't go at -1400. So at this point, yeah, I think you're getting a -1350 favorite to win the fight inside the distance at -175. I think that's the only way I play him personally.
And I'll also have to point out,
Yep.
it was -135 like a couple hours ago. Someone sent it to me in the DMs, which was wild.
That it was, and I may or may not have got in on that as well. So
Lucky you.
yeah. So I like it. I think he finishes here. This is a good question. We can do the panel here. We'll go one by one. Kyle's saying who lands the most takedowns on the card. We'll start with Uncle Weezy.
I'm always a believer in Fluffy being able to rinse and repeat. And Oban Elliott would be up there as well. I'm going to give you a hot take, Kyle, and say that Merab gets less than 2 takedowns.
I thought you were about to say Mackenzie Dern. That would have been a hot take. Mackenzie Dern gets the most takedowns.
Mackenzie Dern most takedowns would be a hot take.
Holy
And so
crap.
is Merab not getting 2 or less. But I don't think he's getting Cejudo down.
Yeah, it could look like the Aldo fight where he got 0, or the Dotson fight. We struggled
Yeah.
there as well. For me, I think I'm going Fluffy, but my hot take one would be like Marcos Rogério to Lima to somehow go out there and get like 5-6 takedowns against Justin Tafa. But it's probably Fluffy.
That would require Tafa being able to get up.
Exactly.
How's that
Yeah,
possible?
Tafa would be able
Roll
to get up
across the
5
floor.
times in order for
The
that to
fuck?
happen. I think that guy needs a harness to get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah, bro, no doubt. He's on TLC somewhere.
Monk, who are you thinking? Who gets the most takedowns?
The obvious answer is Hernandez, but my hot take is actually Alexander Volkanovski, especially later on in the fight.
is
If
hot.
it starts to go on, I mean, dude, Topuria at this point, like, yeah, he's beating the shitload of guys, but nobody not to the caliber that Volkanovski's beat, the king of this division. And there's a lot of talk going on. If he can back it up, hey, I'll change my tune, but till that happens, it's Volk, and he lands takedowns. That guy does.
There you go. There's some hot takes going on. Gordo, how about you? Who gets the most takedowns?
I was looking at Volk as well as a hot take, but no, I think when it looks at it from a whole, I do have the prize picks for Oban Elliott to go over. I do think that's a decent play there. I also think that Hernandez is the popular play. My hot take is that we see a couple from Quinlan, and if he's able to, I think Quinlan either gets 0 takedowns or he gets 4 or 5. There's no in between. So if he does win, I think he does get a decent amount.
Another hot take there. I actually like that take though. I think he tries to wrestle in that one.
Super quick regarding that Weezy, I heard your hot take on Dvalishvili. Does Cejudo land more takedowns or less takedowns than Merab in this fight?
That would be interesting. Cejudo's not a high volume wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
Surprisingly, you would think a guy with a gold medal in freestyle wrestling would be a guy that was spamming takedowns, but he doesn't. He's pretty economical with it. But yeah, he's got great inside trips and great counter wrestling. So I could see him actually wind up being the one that not only gets more takedowns, but I really like him to get more control time in this fight, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So DK has a method of victory for Neal TKO or Garry decision at -175. Too chalky or just right. I wouldn't play something like that, but I think those are most likely outcomes. But a lot can go wrong, playing something like that.
Greasy decision.
It could be a Neal greasy decision. Could be a Garry head kick knockout. A lot of people are on the Garry sub this week as well, so probably a little bit too chalky. And anybody like that?
No, I don't. Just remember that Ian Garry's got a knack to piss people off, and I could just see him going out there and like actually getting the knockout this time after he pissed everybody off by not getting it versus Magny. I could see him, and now everyone thinks like, oh, I'm betting Garry by decision, and then Ian comes out there and starches him. So you just never know with that dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100%. All right, so all that's left, I think, is just giving our quick picks, and then we'll head out of here. We will start with Monk. As always, we expect the pick, the round, the method, and the nickname rating.
Oh shit! All right. Well, now I got to click on 2 different tabs. We'll start with Volkanovski KO4 the Great. He's proved it. Great nickname. Let's see here. Costa Secret Juice, fantastic. I'm going Costa decision. Ian Garry, what's the future? Terrible decision. For Garry. Dvalishvili, the Machine, fantastic. Better than Burt Chrysler. In fact, Burt Chrysler stole that nickname from Merab Dvalishvili. Merab decision. We're going Fluffy by sub round 3. Love the nickname. Amanda Lemos, terrible nickname. Little Amanda. KO2. Marcos Rogério de Lima. What's Pizzao? Bigfoot. Fantastic. Sub 1. Rinya Nakamura. I'm doing all these off the top of my head. I don't remember his.
Hybrid.
Not bad. Better than Nico Price's hybrid, in my opinion. Hybrid. Excuse me. I must have it written down wrong. It's okay. We'll go KO1. What's Hibero? What's his? Nothing.
He is
the gorilla. He's the gorilla.
Yeah.
I gotta see it first. KO1. If you get a KO1, you can call yourself the gorilla. Danny Barlow, we already talked about it. Fantastic. Got the 2 in there. It's all one word. KO2 for Barlow. Oban Elliott, the Welsh gangster. Pretty good there. Pretty good. Sub 2. And then Andrea Lee, KGB Lee. Boo. Yeah. I'm picking her by decision, though.
Appreciate
I'm still going to boo her when she wins. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Have you seen the Charles Johnson tweet? I have not. I'll have to check it out after the show. Weezy, what do you got for the quick picks this week?
I have got Alexander the Great Volkanovski by decision. Robert the Reaper Whittaker by second round KO. Ian the Cuck Mick Garry by decision. Hendry Cejudo by decision. Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, 3rd round submission. We got Mackenzie Dern by decision. And Rogério de Lima by decision. Hybrid Nakamura, 2nd round submission. Brenson Hibero, 2nd round KO. Danny Left Hand to God Barlow, 2nd round KO. That is also Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. Oban, the Welsh gangster Elliott by decision. And Miranda, Fear the Pickles Maverick by decision.
I'm going to make you explain this now. It's twice. One more pickle reference. You're going to have to tell me what that means.
Oh, it's just she sells pickles online.
Oh.
That's a thing that she does. She's got a side business. She sells pickles. Yeah, and I'm not a pickle guy. I don't like them. So,
all right.
Yeah,
they're probably spicy. You should fear them.
I don't like pickles, so I fear pickles. So that's why I've changed that nickname and Ian Garry's nickname.
Also, you forgot.
Feel free to use that.
You didn't mention.
Yes.
Yeah, you didn't mention Triple C's nickname, which should really be four C's. You can guess what the 4th one is.
All right. Let's see. So for me, I'll go Maverick decision. Elliott sub 3 rear naked choke. Danny Barlow KO1. Ribeiro KO1. Nakamura submission. Kimura. De Lima submission. Fat choke. Dern submission. Armbar. Hernandez submission round 2. Anaconda. Dvalishvili decision. Neal KO2. Whittaker decision. And Volkanovski decision. Gordo, what do you got for this week?
Yeah, we're taking Alexander Volkanovski decision. Robert Whittaker decision. Ian Garry also decision. Hate to break it to you, Merab decision. Then we're going to start picking it up here. Anthony Hernandez, let's go KO2. Amanda Lemos, KO2. Let's go Marcos Rogério de Lima by myocardial infarction, sub 2. Rinya Nakamura, sub 1. Zhang Mingyang, KO1 for the culture. China, I don't want to hear it, all right? This mountain tiger is going to leave you for dead. What a killer. Then let's go Josh Quinlan, decision. Oban Elliott, KO2, and Miranda Maverick, decision.
There we go. All right, guys, we did it. Gonna kick it around. Uncle Weezy, let the people know where they can find you and what you got going on for some content for the rest of the week.
Yeah, probably going live tonight for some Ask Weezy, but like need to get some dinner. So I'm gonna put the link out for that when it's ready. Probably 10:30 Central Time, 11:30 Eastern. We can talk about Charles Johnson's haircut. We could talk about a number of different things. We could talk about bets. We could talk about prize picks. We could talk about underdog, money line, props, Miranda Mavericks pickles, Ian Garry's nickname. There's a number of different things that we can discuss. Come live in the chat. We'll hang out. We'll talk fights. Let's stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC 298 and bathe in the blood of our vanquished Draftkings enemies. Let's go.
You know, it'd be some fun content, Weezy. You getting Charles Johnson on the channel and debating him.
Yeah, he might have enough time on his hands to do that because
he's
got enough time on his hands to go through 6-hour podcasts and find references to his haircut, clip the video twice, and then put it on YouTube saying that grown men are getting mad about another grown man's haircut. That's not a grown man's haircut. That's a child's haircut. That's an idiot's haircut. It's not a grown man's haircut to put a rat on the back of your neck and diet chartreuse. Okay? So, I mean, like, that's the end of the debate. We just had a debate, and Uncle Weezy won.
I mean, he's got to have something to do while those curlers are in for all those hours. Was he going to watch a 6-hour podcast? Hey, I just won. Great win of my career. And now instead of celebrating it, I'm going to watch fucking Uncle Weezy talk about my haircut. Dude's a winner, bro. What do you want?
Monk, where can they find you, man?
He's got a fight booked. He's got a fight booked. And instead of watching tape on his opponent, I don't know, man. Yeah, so join me live tonight. Let's hang out. Let's have some fun. Let's have some wholesome fun here. Yep. It's going to be a great time.
Big dub from Uncle Weezy. Brady, you can find, huge dub. Dub of the week, Uncle Weezy, no matter even what happens on this card. Yeah, that was a fucking Helwani's a 10-7. You just saw a 10-7 in action on Pub Sports Radio. You can find me with the bad boy of MMA, Lou Betya, on the Monk and Lou Happy Hour show tomorrow night, Thursday, 12 a.m. Central. Well, Friday, I guess, 12 a.m. Central. Thursday, 11 p.m. Central. He will, he'll be out of his shackles. He'll be up from the dungeon, and he will be giving picks and bets. And we stay free. Hashtag free Lou Betya up here. Free Lou Betya.
Free Lou Betya.
Elon, you promote free speech. How come my boy is in the corner? What are you doing, man? Free Lou Betya. Bad boy of MMA Twitter.
Is there Wi-Fi in Twitter prison?
I don't know, but somebody should insert a guitar right after I say that. The bad boy of MMA Twitter. Then that goes in post. Yeah,
now I'm thinking Justin Tafa's new nickname shouldn't be Bad Man, it should be Bad Boy.
Bad boy. The bad boy.
Bad bowling ball. All right, me?
Yeah, I'm done. That was
Gordo.
it.
Cool.
That's
my
great, time
to went off the rails like 10 minutes ago, so bring us home.
I can't wait for May 11th for Weezy's first ever doubling down ass shaving of the week, Jake Hadley over Charles Johnson. That's going to be an episode to tune in for. That's going to be great.
Wait, he gets to fight White Kong now? This shit right
does.
Oh, my God.
You know how you beat the White Kong? You find the energy. That's what you do.
That's right.
Nice.
And a decent barber. They're not hard to find.
Okay. You can find all my work on the Plays and Fades YouTube channel. I won't lie. I recorded a whole hour-and-a-half podcast before this, or a video that I usually crop down, and my file's corrupt. I got to refilm this thing and edit. So it should be out sometime within the wee hours of the morning. So maybe I'll tune into some Uncle Weezy, show some love there. But you can find the video later tonight or early tomorrow morning on the Plays and Fades YouTube channel. Show some love there. You can also find me on Twitter at GamblesGordo. We post my full slate of bets this weekend, as well as a best bets video sponsored by my friends at Cool Bet. So show some love there. Check me out. Wish everyone all the best of luck on all your DraftKings and betting endeavors this weekend. Let's make some money, guys.
What an ending. What a twist and turn type ending. But that's yeah.
And I'm on another show on Saturday. You can tell them about that.
Oh yeah, best bet. And by the way, Lou Betcha will actually be making an appearance on best bet as well. So,
Yes.
so that'll be
I'm in the
fun.
room with a bad boy.
Yep.
Bad boy.
Head boy of MMA Twitter.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So yeah, check that out on my channel, DFS by the Numbers, on Saturday, 4:30 Eastern time, and going live Friday as well. And I think that's about it, guys. I got to go check out that Charles Johnson tweet. I haven't seen it yet, so I'm going to see what's up there. But best of luck, guys.
I DM'd it to you.
We'll talk to you soon. See you later.